What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand to Table podcast. I am your host, Henry Kaminsky Jr., your go-to for restaurant marketing and branding. And today I want to talk about why full dining rooms have nothing to do with more Instagram posts. So let me say something here that might sting a little bit. If your dining room isn't full, it's not because you didn't post enough this week. And I say that with all respect, because I've sat across from too many restaurant owners who are legit exhausted. They're all saying the same thing. We need to post more. We need better content. We need to step up our social media game. And I always ask them one question. If Instagram disappeared tomorrow, would your restaurant still be busy? And when I ask that question, the room typically gets a little quiet. I remember sitting with one restaurant owner last week. They had really strong visuals on social media, and they were posting a lot, like 4 to 5 times a week in their stories. They had professional photography, the whole 9 yards. The engagement looked pretty good, but Tuesday nights is a door now. And they were super frustrated over this. They couldn't figure out why. They felt like they were doing all the right things when it came to social media marketing. And I asked them a simple question. After someone sees your posts, what happens next? I didn't hear anything. It was like crickets, because the answer was nothing. They saw it. They liked it. Maybe they commented, but there was no capture. There was no next step, no follow-up, no plan to bring them back into the restaurant. It was just attention, more attention, more attention, more attention. And that's not going to make it work. Attention without structure doesn't equal demand. And this is the core mistake here. Restaurants confuse visibility with revenue. Instagram feels productive, right? You post something, people respond, and it feels like momentum, but the likes aren't paying the rent, are they? Comments aren't covering the payroll, is it? No. Repeat visits do. So let me tell you something else I've seen. I work with restaurants that barely post. Seriously, like one post a week. Minimal social media, but they have systems. And they collect emails every day. They collect phone numbers every day. They send consistent weekly communication out through different channels. They follow up after reservations. And they have a very strong bounce back strategy. They have intentional slow day offers, and they respond to every single review that they get on all the platforms. They know their regulars by name, and their dining rooms are steady. They're not viral. They're steady. And steady's powerful. The loudest restaurant is not always the busiest. The most consistent restaurant usually is. Most restaurant owners are chasing that reach. They're chasing views. They're chasing followers. They want more eyeballs. But what actually moves revenue is frequency. How often does the same guest come back? That's the game here, folks. Not how many strangers saw your Instagram reel. That's not what's going on here. So let's reframe this. Instagram is top of the funnel. It's not your business model. It attracts, and that's about it. If you're only relying on attracting without building the rest of the system, you're building your restaurant on sand. So here's a framework I want you to use that's 4 simple words. Attract, capture, convert, and retain. Now, don't get me wrong. Social media, community presence, events, awareness, that's all visibility. That's all great. But then what? We have to figure out how to take that attention and move to the next step, which is what? Capturing guest data. Where's those emails? Where's those phone numbers? Where's the loyalty signups? Where's that reservation database? If someone interacts with your brand and you don't capture that information, you've lost your leverage. And that's a huge, huge disadvantage to your restaurant. That data is so valuable to you, and it's very overlooked and underutilized. The next thing we talked about was conversion, right? Are you intentionally guiding behavior? Do you have clear offers? Do you have clear next steps? Do you have clear experiences? Not these random promotions that you're putting out every other day. I call that slingshot marketing. Let's just fling that over there and see what happens. That's not how your restaurant guests are going to respond to your marketing. They're not. They're going to respond to what resonates, to what's relevant, to what makes them feel a certain way. And if you're not getting them to feel a certain way, you're leaving money on the table. So you really got to capture them where they're at and figure out what's going to get them in, what's going to get them coming back. And that's retention. And this is where restaurants literally fall apart. There's no follow-up. There's no personal touches. There's no consistency there. There's no recognition. There's no repeat incentives. And that's a big problem. They're just focused on getting them in the door. And that's it. And that's where your restaurant marketing breaks. Now, if you have all those things, this is where dining rooms are built. It's not an attract phase. It's in the retain phase. So let me give you a real emotional moment here. I've seen owners hit 5-year marks and realize, damn, I should have been collecting all that information and all that data along the way, and I haven't. What the hell do I have now? Nothing. Sure, you had spikes in revenue. You had great years. You had great weekends. You had great weeks. You even had viral moments. But they didn't have rhythm. And rhythm is what lets you guys sleep at night. It's when you can plan for payroll confidently. Rhythm is what allows you to grow without that panic and anxious feeling. But rhythm comes with systems, not posts, systems. So let's tie this all together and put some action steps in place, all right? Let's pull up your last 30 days of Instagram posts and then ask yourself a serious question. What happened after somebody saw the post? Did we capture them? Did we follow up? Did we give them a reason to come back? The second thing I want you to do is identify exactly where you collect the guest data. And be honest, do you have that system in place? Do you have an auto sign up to email marketing on Open Table? Do you have a loyalty program inside of your Toast that's active and actually firing? If you don't, this is where we can help you come in and set all that stuff up for you so you can focus on operations and we can focus on actually driving guests into the door and getting them back over and over again. And that leads me to my next conversation, the repeat visit strategy. Not 5, just 1. Focus on 1 and dial it in. I have a client right now that was looking for more. And I said, listen, we have a bounce back strategy right now that we only gave really 60 days to implement. Like, we got to really focus on that. We got to get 30, 40 people back here in a 30, 40 day time span before we start adding more, right? And we haven't quite done that yet. So I said, slow it down. Let's focus on this 1 bounce back and let's get it to a number of success that we're all comfortable with before we move on to the next thing. The bottom line here, guys, is I don't want you to try to fix everything at once and start adding more stuff before you got the other stuff fixed and dialed in first. So it's not just reach. It's not just impressions. It's not just engagement. It's return visits, because that's the metric that builds stable revenue. So here's the bottom line, guys. Social media, yes, it matters. It's a necessary evil, but it's not the engine. If your dining room feels unpredictable, it's not because you need more content. It's because you need a system. And your system right now is incomplete. And this is where I help restaurant owners fix, not by telling you to post more, but by showing you where your demand is leaking and what's got to get done to fix it. You heard me talk about this in other episodes, guys. It's about clarity. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? What's the missing parts of the system that you can't see because you're too close to your business? That's where you have somebody like me come in and unveil a lot of those blind spots that you might not be able to see. One of the big takeaways, guys, that I want you to get from this episode is chasing attention is extremely exhausting. And if you're ready to build a system for your marketing, that fills seats consistently, then let's have a conversation and see how I can help you. Because once you get this system in place, this system is going to build rhythm. And like I said before, rhythm is what's going to drive revenue. And that's what we're all looking for, right? Increased revenue and more profit. So there you have it, guys. Another episode in the books. Make sure that you subscribe or share this episode with someone in the industry that could get some value out of it. And like I said, guys, I'm here for you. Let's have a conversation and let's see how I can take your marketing from where it is now to more of a systematic approach where you have a flywheel that's actually going to make all the pieces of the puzzle work for you and your restaurant. Have an amazing day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon.